Hello, and welcome to the video for the Sprint 1 review. This is for Computer Science 322, and it is for Group 3, consisting of myself, Matthew Heseltine, Jaeger Nelson, Katie Brickner, and Beck Williams. So the four of us decided to select the Roommate Finder application for our project. This is software that allows incoming freshmen to the university to take 3 surveys so that they could be matched with the best possible roommate. This consists of 3 surveys. First being a personal survey, which asks the user questions about themselves. The second being a roommate preferences survey, which asks them about their preferences and roommates. And the third being a dorm survey, which provides the list of available dorms and has the user select from those dorms which ones they'd be interested in living in. The results of these surveys are used in an algorithm to calculate the best possible roommate through the use of a database, and will provide the user with a list of a couple roommates along with their associated contact information so that the user can eventually get into contact with these people to make them their roommates. The main objective for Sprint 1 was to create the foundations for both the graphical user interface and the back-end logic part of the software. Only Beck Williams had prior experience in C#, or at least extensive experience in C#, which is the language that we chose to work on for this project for convenience reasons. So he was really integral in producing a lot of the back-end logic and the foundation for the rest of us to use to write our portions of the code. And you'll see that in the demonstration part of the video. So here we have the Kanban board for the project. Starting from the top left in the back-end backlog, we have must match user using the general survey. So once the user has completed their surveys, that information needs to be put into an algorithm that scores them with the database of the potential roommates. We also have create general survey, and then must have more personalized surveys. This is for the actual survey that is related to getting the personality of the user. This is for the roommate preferences. Student ID verification, we want this for login functionality, just to have an extra step for security to ensure that only freshmen and of course administrators are able to access the software. Save matches on logout. Once the user has completed all 3 of the surveys and they enter the roommate grading phase, it's going to produce a list of roommates alongside their contact information based off of the results from the surveys done earlier. So we want to be able to, of course, save that once the user logs out so that they don't have to go through that process every single time they access the software. Must verify student picture is appropriate. That's pretty self-explanatory. Implementation for this one is going to be a little sophisticated. We don't actually know exactly how we're going to do this. Possibly a lightweight AI model, or we're going to have to do some research on this to figure out the process exactly. Front-end backlog. We have the add chat functionality. So the user will be able to communicate within the software with the matches that they've made. A UI for the general survey, and then allow students to accept and deny matches. So originally we were just going to have it so once the user completes the surveys and they get their matches, they get the contact information, and that's it. But we want it to be realistic, so we're going to have functionality for other users to send requests for requesting contact information and whatnot. And then UI for general survey, this is really applicable to all the surveys. We don't really have a UI for any of them just yet. Right now, we don't have everything in our sprint backlog assigned, but in general, if it has anything to do with a graphical interface, it's going to be Katie or Jaeger because they have experience with that already. And then anything backend is going to be me and Beck. And here we have everything that has escaped the backlogs. Starting here, we have add user login to UI. This is ready to be worked on, as well as include student profile and allowing the user to upload a photo. Here we have in progress. Some of these are stuck because other issues needed to be completed first. For example, add user logout can't function until we have a login UI, or at least it shouldn't. And then same thing down here, we have the Create Survey Hub. The Survey Hub, as you'll see in the code review, exists in a skeletal form, but can't really be completed until survey functionalities are ready to be worked on. And then over here we have code that has been completed, and I won't get into it because it'll be described in the overview section of this video. Okay, now it is time to have code demonstrations, starting with Beck.
Hello, I'm Beck. I'm going to be going over the aspects of my project that I worked on, or aspects of the project that I worked on. So, first and primary thing I did was I basically created the foundation of the project. That way, that all the other members of our team have an easy way to implement their features without having to worry about how it's going to be fully implemented in the final project. So what I did was I set up the actual project itself. I created the different project elements, such as the UI project, the engine project, as well as the testing project, and then some of the foundational classes and stuff that I implemented. So I created the main logic controller. And this is a place where that basically holds all the different methods required for interacting with the other modules of the system, and created this so all the other team members have a place to slot in their logic and stuff, and have it working right out of the gate as long as their code's correct and stuff. And then what I also created was I created the basically the user profile. I just defined the user profile class. That way, whoever needs to work on with this specific object knows the actual uh, definition and stuff, so they can actively work on it. Also created the basic control flow for the login UI page, which is right here. This basically is the entry point UI for our entire program. And then after the user logs in, it redirects to the main home page. And I set this up so once other people need to implement their sections of UI, they have a landing page that they're able to do that from. And apart from that, I also worked on one major feature, which is the whole login system. So here is a login class that gets called in at the beginning of the program. And basically what this is, the main purpose of this is just taking in the user's input and then seeing if it matches the user's correct, and then sending off that input to for validation. So the validation method or class for the validation process comes in. Where does it come in? Password manager. There we go. So yeah, password manager. Main thing this does is it loads up a CSV file with all the passwords and their associated usernames, and then it just takes in has a method that takes in the username and password from that's brought in from the other class, and then it just validates if those are located within the dictionary, and lets it know if it comes out true or false. Then the other thing I did was I made the profile manager class, which is similar to the password manager. It just loads up all the user profiles into a dictionary that can then be easily worked on from the other parts of the system. And so, yeah, that's what it does. It just loads up things, populates a dictionary from right here, and then it can then load a profile, like from a given username and just searches that dictionary for that profile, returns it out. And that way we can store this in the main roommate finder controller, so it can then be worked on by other modules. And that, I believe, is the main things I worked on. I do have some other to-dos that will be, where did I put them? So yeah, some other to-dos that I'll be working on in the next sprints, such as properly implementing a new profile creation. I created the basic framework for how that's going to work, but it's not fully implemented yet. That's probably the very next thing I'll be working on. Then I also need to be able to save any new info that gets generated to the CSV files. That's another feature I'll be working on in the next sprint. And then I also would like to create an encryption method for the passwords. And let's go ahead and run the program so you can actually see it in action. So we have a place for the username, password, login button. We also have a create profile, although this is just a button, doesn't actually do anything quite yet. If there's nothing implemented, you hit the login button, shows that incorrect username password. If we just type in random things, it'll do the same thing. But if we put in a correct one that does exist within the CSV file, then it will properly log us in, bring us up to the home page, which home page was worked on by another team member. But yeah, that's basically everything I've worked on. Right.
This is Matthew again, and I'm going to be going over the code that I completed for Sprint 1. So we have it in Roommate Finder, in Roommate Finder Engine, and then down here, the Survey Hub. So the Survey Hub kind of acts as a crossroad that connects the user to the rest of the program. That includes the personal survey, the dorm survey, the roommate survey, and then functionality to allow the user to pass on to the roommate grading phase of the code. This is guarded by the number of surveys that the user has completed, and this variable is stored in here. Once these personal surveys, dorm surveys, once they are launched, they will return a value that corresponds to whether or not they completed the survey, and then that value will be stored here. And then we also have a function to verify the number of surveys completed, and this will be used to prevent the user from moving on until all 3 surveys are completed. Right now, this code is in a skeletal form. The code associated with the surveys has not yet been completed, so these functions are empty. But once that code is completed, it will be placed in here, and it will allow the Survey Hub to link the controller to all of the rest of the surveys and move on with the program.
Hello, so I'm going to get into my part of the project. I was put in charge of doing the user interface for the homepage. So this is what it looks like for now. There's going to be some cosmetic changes when we start focusing more on user experience rather than just plain functionality for now. So I do have a list of available matches. I also was in charge of doing like a matching system. So we don't have the general survey yet for the user to complete. So for now, until that like CSV file or a database is uploaded with those matching results from the user that filled out that survey, for now it just takes out some names that I hard coded into a matches.csv file. So yeah, and there will be functionality like if you click on it, it will take you to their profile page, which will be an objective for Sprint 2 as well. For the profile page, I have just like a rough draft of the person who logged in, the username of the person who logged in. There will be like options in Sprint 2 that I will implement, including like a short biography that of like 100 words that a user is limited to, so that they can customize their profile more, as well as like upload a picture. Additionally, there will also be like a settings menu, so preference settings. So that's what I have so far for my part. Like I said, I was put in charge of doing the homepage. I created the matches.csv file. I also did the matches in the match manager class, as well as the profile page and the profile designer page. This profile designer page is a rough draft of what to expect during Sprint 2 when it's focused a lot more on functionality and getting a little bit more into that user experience. Yeah, so that was my part for Sprint 1.
Hello, my name is Jager Nelson. I will be going over the functionality of the student bio attribute that I implemented. When we log in, under the Profile tab, there is an entry for the bio of a student. It's displayed here. It can also be edited with this tab here. And the student is able to edit their bio this way. Once we insert a new bio, it is saved to the student's attribute. Even when we go back, the change is saved. And when we log out, we can see that the attribute was changed in the data file.
Okay, so that was the code demonstration. As you can see, the foundation for our backend was created by Beck, and our graphical user interface for logging in was created by Jaeger and Katie, which is great because that's going to be used later for the surveys and extend into everything else that the user is going to see when they're interacting with the software. This was good for Sprint 1 because we all got exposure to C# for those of us who are not very familiar with it. We all have C++ background, so it wasn't too difficult. Something we would like to improve for the next sprint is a better allocation of work. As you could tell from the code demonstration, Beck did a ton of work, and just to make it a little bit easier on him, we would like to rebalance the workload. So assign a bit more issues to the rest of us, just to make it more fair and more balanced out for Sprint 2. Overall, we had a very good experience with our first sprint for this project. I think we all made a lot more progress than we originally thought we were going to make. We have a pretty solid foundation for the front end and the back end, as well as a few other things that we've tacked on to it. So it should be a really good foundation to work on in Sprint 2. In Sprint 2, we're going to be focused on creating the actual functionality for the 3 surveys that the user is going to take, as well as the grading algorithm that takes the results of those surveys. And that's really going to be the main meat of this project. So it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but we're all really excited to continue learning C#. We know how prevalent it is in the real world, so we're all very happy to have an opportunity to learn it in an environment like this. So yeah, thank you for watching. That concludes this video.